Let's move on to main topic number 3, shall we? And our third main topic today gets submitted to us by Eric Reitman. And Eric Reitman writes, "Hey, John, I just finished watching The Mandalorian episode 4. That'll be season 2, episode 4. Wow. What a ride. Carl Weathers did a great job of directing this episode. That's right, Carl Weathers directed this one. There were a ton of huge reveals in it too. Like, I don't think any episode so far has given us more of an idea of where everything is leading than this one has. What did you think of it? And will you and Anne, and by the way, everybody writes Anne with an E. Anne doesn't have an E on it. My wife Anne does not have an E on it, just so you know. Will you and Anne do another live open spoiler discussion about it later again? Thanks." All right, man. Thanks for sending that in. And yes, Mandalorian, The Siege dropped last night. Now, listen, I'm going to talk about this in a completely non-spoiler way. Okay. I'm going to talk about this first in a completely non-spoiler way. And then I'm going to spend a couple of minutes talking about some spoiler details for those of you who've seen it. But this is what I'm going to do. When I'm getting ready to talk about the spoiler stuff, I'm going to bring up this adorable picture of Baby Yoda. And the world said, "Aww." I'm going to bring up that picture, and then we'll start talking about the spoiler stuff. And then when it's safe to unmute your computer, I'll let you know by bringing up this cute, adorable picture of Baby Yoda again. Okay? Are we good? Are we all clear? Fantastic. Okay, let's start talking about The Mandalorian a little bit. The Siege. Gotta say, I thought the episode was great. I thought the episode was fantastic. Now, it is following, remember I've been saying this phrase all season so far. The journey is the story, right? The journey is the story. And that has been very, very dominant, especially in this season, because pretty much every episode has followed this formula. Mando arrives at a place. He needs some information or help from that place. He runs into somebody who can provide him with that information and that help, but they need Mando to do something for them first. Mando then does that thing with them. The person then gives him the information or the things he needs at the end of it, and the episode ends with Mando now heading off to the next destination. That has been pretty much every episode. That has been the construct, if you will, of every episode of this season so far. And this episode was no different. Now, to some people complain about that. But to me, again, it is the journey is the story. This is all about the travels of a lone gunslinger making his way in the untamed West, but he's got a little Baby Yoda with him along the way. And you know what? It reminds me a lot of me playing Dungeons and Dragons, or me playing, where is it? Right there's the book right there. See that blue book? My Star Wars role-playing game group, right? When you get into a big campaign, you don't just start off by, okay, we arrive at the villain's castle. No, you start off by the journey. And in each step of the journey, there's an adventure to be had. And while they've been doing that, little pieces of things have been being dropped in each episode that then build up and culminate. As a matter of fact, we see, no plot details here, but once again, we see the lead actor from Kim's Convenience. The X-Wing pilot, he makes a quick appearance, right? Because he came from an episode where they were laying groundwork, and I guarantee you, I think we're going to see him again. And, they bring in the Imperials again and all that kind of stuff. And it just worked. And you're right. Near the end of the episode, they dropped some information that has probably done more than any other episode of Mandalorian so far in furthering our understanding about where this thing is going. Like, really, what's the fuss about Baby Yoda been about this whole time? Why is Moff Gideon so obsessed? What's the bigger picture here? And this one episode, in just the last couple of minutes, really start to give us some of those pieces that we had never had before. And so it was, again, for me, a great episode of The Journey is the Story. We got to come across some characters we know and love. Pardon me. And all that stuff. It was Carl Weathers directed. Not my favorite episode of the season, but a very good episode nonetheless. So that's my general thoughts on the episode. Now, if you guys will indulge me, Ann and I are going to do at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time today. Ann and I are going to do a full spoiler discussion of last night's episode. But I do want to just take a couple of quick minutes here to talk about some highlight things. So if you have not seen this week's episode of Mandalorian and you don't want to know any of the details, hit mute now. There's Baby Yoda. Here, there's Baby Yoda. Now you can unmute it when I put Baby Yoda back up again, okay? When I put Baby Yoda back up again, you can unmute it. So make sure you're on mute. Okay. Oh my God. So there are a bunch of theories that got completely debunked with this episode, but a couple of theories that probably got enforced. Obviously, it looks like Moff Gideon. Now look, we saw the body in the clone body in the chamber, right? That's Snoke. Even when they was walking by him, they played little hints of the musical overture of Snoke's overture in it. I mean, that's Snoke. I mean, maybe it's not. It wasn't 100% Snoke, but maybe it is. And the Dark Troopers. I mean, that's being brought into canon. That stuff, right? So here's where it looks like they're going. I don't believe this show is going to end with Moff Gideon getting Baby Yoda and killing Baby Yoda to take his blood. I think where they might be leading this to is they place the tracker on his ship. He's going to Ahsoka. I think they let the Baby Yoda slip through their fingers when they track the Razor Crest to where Ahsoka Tano is. And I think Ahsoka Tano sacrifices herself to save Mando and the baby. And in doing so, that's where they get the midichlorians, the M count. You notice they wouldn't even say the word midichlorians. I don't even think you'll ever hear them use the word midichlorians, but they'll get the M count from their blood to inject it into the clones. And therefore will be the birth of Snoke, right? I mean, at least that seems where they're going with this. Now, whether they do, and listen, I'll tell you what, if they do that, one, I won't be surprised at all that Dave Filoni will be putting Ahsoka Tano right at the center of the story again. But at the same time, I'll also be kind of impressed that Dave Filoni would oversee Ahsoka Tano dying. So I don't know. We'll have to wait to see how that all plays out. And maybe that's not what will happen at all. Maybe that's not what will happen in the least. But it seems to be where they are pointing. All right. Like I said, Ann and I will discuss this much further. We'll take your comments and stuff like that on it, on the spoiler discussion later this afternoon. Come and join us for that. Okay. And now we're okay. We're spoiler free again, guys. We're spoiler free again. Come on back. Come on back. We're good. We're good. Anyway, that's my thoughts on this week's episode. Again, we'll go into it in much more detail a little bit later this afternoon. So if you're free, come on by and join Ann and I at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time today. All right, guys.